Fans were completely taken aback when rumors of flashing lights began to circulate outside the Love and Hip Hop Atlanta studio, since the hidden cameras never lie. According to rumors, producers secretly contacted the police to quell a raging controversy that threatened to ruin the entire concert, not to arrest Mena. In the room where Erica, Mena, Mendeecees, and Yandy gathered for an emergency war room session, Tasha K has now disclosed body cam footage that documents every gasp, every rushed whisper, and every quiver of panic. Loyalty teetered on the brink of treachery. Tears threatened to spill, and accusations flew faster than the gossip blogs as the three frantically tried to come up with a damaged, controlled strategy. Alliances broke up and reformed in real time behind closed doors, as viewers observed every private conversation through brief audio snippets that Tasha K posted online with a single thought-provoking tweet. The family was torn between relief that the cameras were let to continue filming and amazement at how close they came to having a televised breakdown. However, nothing will ever look the same with this unadulterated, raw evidence now in the wild. This is only the beginning of the fallout, so stay tuned. The little conference room was dark, with only a single lamp on the table and the glow of phones acting as impromptu torches for light. As she mentally reenacted Tasha K's body cam leak, Erica Mena fell into a folding chair, her eyes wide and red-rimmed, her voice scarcely audible above a whisper. She traced the rim of her coffee cup with her fingers and whispered, "They really sent someone here." With sneakers creaking on the worn linoleum floor, Yandy paced back and forth. With her hair cascading over her face, she growled, "We're in so much trouble." Mendeecees fought the tremor in his hands by leaning against the distant wall with his jaw clenched and his arms crossed. They were reminded by distant voices and muffled footsteps outside that there was already a lot of conjecture going on in the world outside these four walls. Every glance fought between self-preservation and loyalty. Fear had crept into their bones, and they all knew that their friendships, careers, and reputations could all be irreparably damaged if they didn't devise a plan quickly. As she outlined the stakes, Erica's voice broke. Her remarks bore the weight of prior betrayals, the recollection of other scandals that had destroyed careers and split families apart. And the statement, "If those audio clips hit YouTube before we get ahead of the story, everyone's going to assume I left him out to dry." With a hesitant nod, Yandy stopped pacing and folded her arms. "We require a story," she stated. Sweat trickled at his hairline as Mendeecees wiped his forehead. He stated, "We cannot lie." His tone was tense as he said, "But we can frame it." He knew they were on the verge of catastrophe, but he also understood that flatly denying it wasn't an option. As they sketched out every potential angle, what producers would remove, what Tasha K would highlight, and how fans would respond, the three of them leaned in, their voices lowering to hurried whispers. Ambition pushed panic aside, telling them that the show must go on at all costs. Even in that small space, Yandy took out her phone and browsed through social media posts, screenshots. She pointed to a tweet that had already gained a lot of attention and said, "Look at this. Mendeecees called the cops on his own set. Hashtag LHH spill." The words were a slap in the face, disbelief turning to hurt. Erica reached for the phone and scrolled through irate comments. "They believe that I am complicit," she stated. Mendeecees clenched his hands and closed his eyes. He said, "I never wanted to drag you into this." His voice trembled with indignation and sadness. the two feelings battling in his chest's shallow rise and fall. With her head pounding from the clamor of their group panic, Yandy massaged her temples. The soft hiss of the air conditioner outside the door sounded like a deadline approaching. Their strategy meeting started to resemble a war council. On a crumpled notepad, Erica drew a timeline of events, including the time the leak occurred, the arrival of the police, and the people who were there at each point. She mentally played back snippets of the recording, including the officer's snipped orders, the Mendeecees' shocked outburst, and Yandy's somewhat successful plea. She stated, "We need to stop the rumors that he was arrested." Mendeecees ran a hand through his hair and said, "Let's emphasize that the police were called as a precaution to restore order, not to charge him. Therefore, we spin it as a safeguard," he inquired. "Exactly," said Yandy in a forceful voice. Their strategy was to manage perception by portraying themselves as responsible adults under attack from sensational leaks, rather than as attention fugitives. "We frame it like you were the victim of chaos, not the cause." The door sprang open as they were developing their talking points, and a producer entered with anxious eyes darting between them. Her determination fluctuated between urgency and fatigue, and she carried a clipboard with a hushed voice. She stated, "I need your quotes by 5. Erica straightened up and swallowed hard as she said, "Network wants a preemptive statement to drop tonight." Despite having a dry throat, she assured him, "We'll have something." The producer looked at the phones that were lighting up across the table, each of which was a window into the public's anger, and nodded. With the sound of the door clicking in their ears, she departed as gently as she had arrived, saying, "And keep it tight, no mention of charges, just concern for safety." There was a heavy pause before Yandy let out a breath, and the room appeared to follow suit. The gap between what had occurred and what they would claim loomed bigger than any studio stage. Despite the fact that they had an assignment and a version of events to sell, Mendeecees lowered his voice to a nearly conspiratorial level as he leaned forward. He stated, "We'll offer a sit-down interview. Live on camera. Me, Erica, and you." He looked directly into Erica's eyes. "We discuss what happened, apologize for the panic, and thank the officers for handling it professionally." Her eyes flashed with relief and incredulity as she said, "We get ahead of it. Control the narrative. Do you really believe that will be purchased?" she inquired. Yandy gave her foot a tap. "I believe it's our best chance," she stated, "because the next leak from Tasha K will be even worse." She claimed to have all of the video. The remarks felt like a verdict. "If we don't do this, we're screwed." As their phones buzzed once more with producer messages, fan speculations, and frantic group texts from the cast, none of them said anything for a brief time. Like steam in a boiler, the pressure increased. Erica finally rubbed her palms together and clicked her tongue. "All right," she replied, with her determined jaw set, illuminated by the illumination of screens. Yandy looked at the crumpled notes on the table and said, "Let's draft that statement." Mendeecees spread his arms wide. He said, "We'll do it together." The phrase "no more secrets" lingered in the air, offering solidarity but also implying the shaky ceasefire they were establishing. The studio hallways outside the war room were filled with the typical sounds of production, lights being reset, cameras rolling, extras moving around. However, time had stopped inside. After gathering their belongings, the trio snuck out of the shooting area, negotiating a tangle of crew personnel and cables. The network's PR lead caught them in the hallway, tablet in hand. "In an hour, the statement will go live," she stated. To reaffirm it, we had a panel of cast members interviewed. "Keep sharp." She left them with dollars of fear and pennies of relief. The same tiny conference room they had used for their crisis meetings served as their haven, but it felt more cramped and smaller now. Mendeecees put his head in his hands and sank into a chair. "Did we make a mistake?" he inquired. Erica was kneeling next to him. "No," she responded. "We got out ahead," but her voice was tinged with uncertainty. While scrolling through the network's livestream conversation, with thousands of people already contributing, Yandy put her phone to her ear. While some scoffed with gifs of handcuffs, others provided encouraging hearts. "Take pleasure in the official spin." Tasha K just tweeted, "In 30 seconds, the true footage drops. Yandy's face is devoid of color." Eric picked up the phone. "Enjoy the official spin," the tweet said, glowing like a time bomb. In 30, actual footage is shown. More than any body cam leak, the truth of their half-truth hit them hard. "She's not playing bluffs," Mendeecees stated. "All we did was postpone the inevitable in excruciating slowness. The minutes before going live passed." With worry on her face, Rosita slipped in as the door opened. She gave them all short hugs. "I noticed the statement," she muttered. Her gaze shifted to Erica, and she said, "That was brave. Are you certain that we discussed everything?" Erica swallowed. She said, "We said what we could." Rosita's eyes grew softer. She nodded slightly as she left them, entering the fluorescent hallway as though she were passing over a boundary between distance and unity. "Just know, we've got your back." The network's social media feed was inundated with previous footage of fans assembling outside the studio, including tweets demanding transparency, placards stating, "We want truth," and the hashtag "Where are the clips?" Cast members defended the story on a backup live stream that producers hurried to set up. The panel was joined by Phaedra and Papoose, who contributed their well-known gravitas. The network's objective was crystal clear: flood the audience with amiable smiles and comforting justifications in anticipation of Tasha K's impending plunge. Meanwhile, outside the studio, Tasha K was getting ready for her next move. She triggered the body cam audio clip, this time longer, with the officer's cool orders, the rustle of papers, and the click of handcuffs being fastened shut, despite the fact that those shackles never touched skin in a room illuminated by several monitors, timestamps, and the words "real events, real reactions" were superimposed, and she added a calm, assured voiceover that said, "You heard them spin their story, now hear the unfiltered truth." The main cast poured into the green room as the panel wrapped back in the studio. As everyone looked at their phones, there was a noticeable buzz of tension. Erica noticed the countdown timer approaching 0 as she browsed through Tasha K's profile. Any moment now, she muttered. Yandy drew strength and closed her eyes. She said, half to herself, "We can manage it." Mendeecees were standing by the window, looking out, as though they were looking for a way out. The PR head for the network returned. "We have confirmation that they will drop precisely at 8 o'clock, she stated. "The panel needs talking points. What do we learn from this?" Erica looked at both Mendeecees and Yandy. They all understood the seriousness of the question. How can one confront the unvarnished reality without admitting guilt? They gathered in silence, crafting words that promised openness while preserving their framing. Caution, miscommunication, no charges, no arrests. There was a quiet rumble in the room as the clock struck 8. Notifications buzzed on phones. Tasha K was live. She pressed the play button. The audio from the body camera instantly filled all screens and caused the playback icons to swirl. Mendeecees' shocked breath, a slight clink of metal, and the distinct rustle as someone went for a phone evidence that the police presence was genuine and that something had happened beyond spin control, followed the officer's calm voice as he said, "This is a standard protocol," with amazement and curiosity soaring. Onlookers leaned forward. Tasha K was sitting grinning with her microphone in her hand when the studio monitor cut to her camera window. She remarked, "So much for precaution. If there wasn't a situation worth policing, why else would they contact us? Like grenades." Her words fell. Silence engulfed them in the green room in preparation for the fallout. Erica closed her eyes. The damage persisted even after the network's broadcast cut to a commercial break. The panel reassembled with pale faces and flitting eyes. A junior producer ran in with an iPad in hand. The director gestured them back to the set, saying, "Social feed is blowing up. Body cam blows cover. We knew they'd lied. We need an immediate on-camera response." The air was heavy with secondhand nerves as Eric, Yandy, and Mendeecees walked out under bright lights once more. Erica inhaled deeply. "We hear you," she said firmly. "We never intended to deceive." Mendeecees then said, "We called the police to protect the crew and the cast from a rumor-fueled escalation." Yandy closed her eyes and then opened them deliberately, saying, "We understand your frustration. The situation was far more complex than we could unpack in a brief statement. We're determined to be completely transparent going forward." However, behind them, Tasha K's body cam stills lingered on the screen-frozen pictures of hands clenched, taut faces, and uniforms. Their half-explanations were dwarfed by the data. The trio's willpower faltered under the pressure of public expectations as supporters penned angry words like "caught in a lie," "keep it real," and "we deserve more." Erica's voice was empty as she slumped against a wall when the second portion ended. "We're going to drown," she muttered. Mendeecees squatted next to her. He remarked, "We knew this would get messy." Yandy slid to the floor and leaned back against the wall across from him, saying, "But I didn't think it would go this far. What should we do next?" she inquired. Her query resonated with all of the unsaid fears in the emptying studio. A compilation of all the clips they had released, sewn together with oozing commentary, was Tasha K's final clip for the evening, which she created outside the studio. "This is not just a rumor," she said. "It's a glimpse behind the curtain of production spin." The globe waited in awe and hunger as her videos started to upload. The war room had turned into a battleground, and they were now frantically seeking shelter from a torrent of information that no statement could adequately capture, like a tidal wave. The aftermath struck as alarms chimed non-stop. Phones lighted up all over the set. Messages from fans, updates from Tasha K's most recent drop, and frantic pings from producers. With her hands covering her face, Erica perched on the edge of a sofa cushion and scrolled. Her voice was shaking as she muttered, "They're calling me a liar." With a trembling breath, Yandy laid her palm against the cool metal of a folding chair and said, "I just tried to help. They see through it. We spin too much," she stated in a frustrated tone. Mendeecees appeared to be waiting for a miracle to relieve the tension as they waited by the window, staring at the fading sky outside. A tiny army of publicists and aides worked inside the green room to try to quiet the commotion by contacting influencers, creating on-the-spot statements, and crafting tweets. But the scream of doubt overpowered every sigh of encouragement. "Is this a call for precaution?" One well-known blogger shared, her caption brimming with uncertainty. Or was Mendeecees on the verge of being booked? In a matter of seconds, the comment received likes and responses. As she watched the number of comments rise, Erica's lips formed a thin line. She declared, "This is getting worse by the minute." Rosita's homecoming was signaled by a knock on the door. She was be given to you to get ready. The flicker of exposed bulbs created long shadows on the concrete walls as they sat around a small circular table in a storage nook. A chair skidded back when Yandy kicked her legs. "What are we going to say?" she inquired. Erica touched the arm of Yandy. "We begin by apologizing," she stated. "The anxiety and worry are then our own." Mendeecees sighed. "We explained to them why we called the police and how we felt at the time." He acknowledged, "I do regret how it played out." Erica patted his hand and said, "But I still think it was the right call to protect Erica and the crew." "All right," she said. "Let's do it." After 10 minutes, they were shown to yet another makeshift stage, a straightforward platform with 3 stools and lighting above it. One camera was rolling. Erica glanced at the lens after clearing her throat. She started by saying, "We're here because we realize you deserve honesty." She took a moment to process the statement, saying, "Last night, when the rumors spun out of control, we didn't know where to turn." Yandy leaned in front. Her voice was firm as she stated, "We called the police because this wasn't just tabloid gossip." Mendeecees nodded, saying, "It felt real. It felt dangerous," he declared. "I didn't want anyone hurt. I believed that moving in that direction would ease the tension." Erica gulped. She acknowledged that, but spinning and narrative only fanned the flames. "We apologize for that." They spoke without a script, their voices raw and unpolished, while the camera continued to roll. Erica reached for her own vulnerability and wiped at her eyes. Her voice cracked as she said, "I felt abandoned by the man I trusted. I started to doubt everything because of fear." Yandy's eyes gleamed. She admitted, "I felt conflicted between truth and loyalty." Mendeecees put a hand over his heart and said, "I should have spoken up, but I stayed silent." He addressed Yandy directly, saying, "I betrayed your trust." At that point, the honesty of their admissions broke through the clamor of scandal and connected with viewers on a deeper level. "I will spend every day earning it back." Heart, sobbing faces, and fire symbols were among the many flooded the conversation. demonstrating the strength of exposed truth. However, Tasha K wasn't done yet. A fresh push notification appeared on Erica's phone as the three of them finished their spontaneous apology. Her eyes widened as she slowly read it. She claimed that Tasha K dropped part 2 of the body. You can hear the producers talking. This time, Yandy grabbed the phone. What did they say? Panic rising, she asked. Erica scrolled. To ensure no charges, they are heard telling the officers to keep it off the record, just manage the optics. She read. Mendeecees' expression lowered. He whispered, so this was as much producer spin as ours. It was painful to realize that although they had believed they were covering for one another, the protective layer of production was now also revealed. Every glimmer of shock on their features was captured by the camera team. Erica took a swallow. You hear that? She turned back to the lens and asked, our producers acknowledge it was spin, said Yandy with a harsh tone. She stated, we were set up. Mendeecees lifted his fist and said, this wasn't just on us. Their voices rose in unison, a startling chorus of anger against the apparatus that had attempted to twist reality for dramatic effect. And we won't let it happen again. The atmosphere changed from scandal to rebellion as fans erupted in cries of Team Truth. They turned on producers, and this is real TV. Alarms sounded on the sentiment dashboard in the control room. The unscripted section was trending globally. The network executive's features rippled with horror as she gazed at the screens. The tide had shifted, and producers frantically tried to recover control. Now that they were invested in the actress' sincerity, the audience supported their efforts to have genuine conversations as viewers witnessed a group in crisis united by common confessions. The conventional narrative of villain and victim became hazy. Rosita discovered Erica, Yandy, and Mendeecees gathered together backstage, their adrenaline still pumping. She touched their shoulders one by one. Her voice was stifled when she uttered, that was everything. You took back the narrative. Erica nodded, her eyes still watering. She stated, we did it for ourselves. With a mixture of comfort and resolution, Yandy breathed. Mendeecees had a slight smile and said, and for the fans who want the truth, nothing else matters. Despite the flurry of reaction outside, the four stood silently together for a brief moment. However, the war had not ended. Tasha K's last video for the night was a collection of cast confessions, body cam footage, and producer acknowledgements. The following explosion was visually counted down as the upload bar edged closer to completion. Erica took a quick look at her phone. Her response was 10%. Yandy's jaw tightened. We need to get ready for the 4th round, she stated. Mendeecees gave a nod. We confronted together, he stated resolutely. Rosita took a deep, reassuring breath. We'll deal with it, she said. There was silence in the green room as the upload was complete. All the phones held their breath. Erica put up her hand and pressed the play button. Silently, viewers watched as the last piece of the puzzle came together, revealing the intricate network of deceit, fear, devotion, and manipulation. Tasha K's video went online when the upload's last bar turned green. In a matter of seconds, the first comments began to appear: raw, savage, and no one saw that coming. The battle lines had once again moved, and the struggle for narrative control continued. For the first time, the family stood as one, prepared to face whatever truth or lies the next clip would bring. The last few hours of the live feed felt like a moment in time, despite the fact that they were split between revelation and unity, spectacle and sincerity. The weight of what had already happened seemed to magnify every phone buzz and every hushed conversation in the hallways. Any residual delusions of control were crushed when Tasha K's final collection hit social media like a hammer, with their faces glowing palely from the screens that were replaying every dramatic moment. Yandy and Mendeecees made their way back to the green room. The combined weight of relief and exhaustion caused their shoulders to slump. Rosita lingered close by, a calm presence in the midst of the turmoil. At first, none of them spoke because they thought that words could not adequately convey the magnitude of what they had just experienced. Outside the studio, lights went down, and technicians started taking down the heavy cameras and scribbled cables that had silently witnessed the battle. They had fought for their own truth. The silence was finally broken by Erica. She spoke quietly but firmly. We made it through the body cam, the spin, the rumors, and the leaks. We must now decide what to do next. She looked directly into Yandy's eyes, with eyes still wet from earlier weeping. Yandy nodded. We are now moving forward. If we disappear, the story reverts to rumors. Mendeecees leaned forward as though the small area might collapse on them, saying, "We need to harness this moment. We have shown people our true selves, flawed, afraid, but honest." His words trembled with cautious optimism. Let's keep that going. Rosita's lips were pressed together. The idea struck like a rallying cry. Then let's make something new. A series of unfiltered behind-the-scenes web clips. A vlog tour of the set moments that aren't polished for broadcast. Plans soon started to take shape. The on-duty producer took notes for a spontaneous post-show segment. With her nerves clenched into resolution, Erica offered to host. In order to address the most difficult topics directly, Yandy proposed a live open Q&A session with fans on Instagram. After hesitating, Mendeecees said, "I'll do it if I can bring my camera crew in so I can show the audience the real me, not the highlight reel." Rosita added, "And I'll moderate to keep it honest and respectful." Together, they drew up a plan for what might be the most genuine extension of the show's brand. Vulnerability as content. Sincere conversation threads replaced the monotonous hum of gossip blogs as the clock ticked closer to daybreak. While discussing whether this was a smart marketing move or real growth, observers complimented their openness to own up. The distinction between the two became hazy. Everyone appeared to concur that they had created a brilliant work of group atonement. But beneath the cheers, a fresh conflict arose. Just how much access was too much? Would viewers watch for genuine moments, or would the cameras serve as just another ruse? Erica felt the question was not being asked. With her hands clasped, she stood and paced slowly. "We established the limits," she stated. Yandy caressed her arm and said, "We decide what we share." And when Mendeecees sighed, his face softening with relief, "And we protect each other. We've made it this far. The rest we can work out." Meanwhile, Tasha K observed their post-crisis discussion in a small editing room just outside the studio. She'd planned the leak, But now she wondered what would happen when exposure lost its shock effect, which made her smirk tinted with intrigue. She started cueing new footage from previous shoots and cut glimpses of laughter, annoyance, and even rage, the kind of behind-the-scenes snippets that typically remained on the cutting room floor. She was aware of how easily even sincere moments could be turned into drama, but she also understood that fans yearned for authenticity. She hit publish after tagging the proactive post-show footage with show footage. The cast gathered around a single laptop in the green room to view Tasha K's most recent release. The video started off innocently enough with a blooper of Mendeecees fumbling over his words, an off-camera candid moment of Yandy laughing, and Erica removing makeup in exasperation. After urging the producers for genuine conversation, the tone abruptly changed to Rashida's reflective stillness and the trio's exhausted faces. Although the montage seemed personal and unvarnished, Tasha K's narration raised questions about whether Erica's laughter was a sign of genuine joy or a form of anxiety relief. Was Mendeecees' blunder a sign of more serious fatigue? Was Yandy's poise a front? Truth is never simple, and you'll want to see every hidden layer, was the final sentence of the series. They all experienced an exhilarating rush of being viewed without filters. Erica quickly put her palm to her mouth. Yandy's forehead creased in both acknowledgement and resistance. As though removing cobwebs, Mendeecees massaged his eyes. The spell was broken by Rashida. "We take care of this," she stated. Erica nodded and said, "We respond on our terms." With a sardonic smile, Yandy said, "We record our own unfiltered response. A 24-hour behind the scenes where we speak directly to our fans, no interruptions, no commentary from outside. We'll refer to it as the real aftermath." Mendy grinned. "And to ensure that nobody else misrepresents us, we will host it ourselves." A new chapter started with that. They installed cameras on the set, in the green room, and even in the parking lot where they had previously gathered in terror. They welcomed fans to participate in silent reflections, makeup chair conversations, and eating breaks. The war room seemed like a faraway memory as the actors embraced their roles as storytellers, not simply subjects. And producers traded polished advertisements for candid previews. "Join us in real time," they said. For the moments reality TV usually hides, Erica, Yandy, Mendeecees, and Rashida sat side by side on a couch with cameras rolling as dawn faded into morning. They talked about relief, hope, betrayal, and terror. They held on to one another's advantages while laughing at their errors. They only promised truth, not perfection. The world watched from outside the studio, captivated by this unique combination of earnestness and flair. The family was reunited under the banner of authenticity after being split apart by rumors and leaks. Yet, even though they were aware that the next scandal might be just a comment away, they had found something much more potent than control: the bravery to allow their true selves, wounds and all, to be captured on video. As Erica and Yandy battled to recover